Hi, and welcome to the Scenic Route podcast. This is the show for building a successful and sustainable business on your terms. My name is Jen, and I'm a rebranding sociologist with a soft spot for rhubarb pie. Each week, I'll strive to expand your branding, business expertise, and mindset capacity. I'm so excited you're here, and now let's get into today's episode.
Alexa Hanshaw is a health and stress management coach, striving to support women to become the CEO of their stress through fitness, nutrition, mindfulness, and sleep for a holistic approach to finding their energy. She provides tools and strategies to get a handle on stress and helps her clients to feel energized, confident, and their best self. Alexa, welcome to the Scenic Route podcast. It's so nice to have you here.
Thank you, Jennifer, for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, me too. I'm always so excited if someone's coming on and talks about something that I feel is so universal and we all have it and we all feel it. It relates to regardless whether you're in business, you're employed, you're a mom, you're not a mom. And we almost kind of like wear it as a badge of honor. So today we're going to talk about stress. But before we dive into that, okay, let's not make this stressful though. Before we dive into a stress, like big topic. So we start with an easy question.
Yes.
Can you briefly walk us through your story? How you started, how you got where you're today? What were your pivotal crossroads, the big light bulb moments?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I own my own business and I'm also still working a corporate job. So for me, the reason that I decided to really take my passion for health and wellness and turn it into a side business with the hope of it being a full-time business someday really started with my own journey with my own health. And when I started out at my corporate job, I wasn't really taking care of myself, typical consultant, traveling a lot,
Oh,
eating
that takes a
out.
huge toll on your mind and body, though. I know. Yeah.
Exactly. And I just wasn't really taking care of myself, even though I have been in the fitness industry for about 10 years. I've always been good at exercising and like moving my
Yeah.
body.
Mm-hmm.
But the other pieces of health, I wasn't really paying attention to and I wasn't really prioritizing. And so I actually myself hired a health coach. And that was really a pivotal moment for me because I saw just how much working with someone once or twice a month could really shift and really help you kind of focus your time, focus your energy on ways that you can improve your health, your stress management, and then in the end become a better, mom, employee,
Just a better
business
self, right?
owner, better self, better person. Exactly. So yeah, that was kind of my big moment.
Yeah, it's so interesting, right? We often aren't fully aware of how multidimensional health is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot about exercise is very very dominant in the discourse. Well, weight obviously as well, and it's only recently or in the last 10-15 years where we're like, oh, actually, well, your mental well-being is actually crucial.
Mm-hmm.
How would you define health for yourself? What were all the pillars you started to see and to take better care of?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, in my initial focus, as I mentioned, exercise and movement was always the main area for me. And I was like, if I can do this, if I get my exercise in, then I'm feeling good, I'm mentally good. But really,
which is true, right? They're all play together as well. So
it's true. It's true. They're definitely all interconnected. But with that interconnectedness as well, if you let something like your sleep slip, or if you let something like your nutrition slip, or you're not managing your stress at all, that's going to seep into all the other areas of your life. So, yes, maybe you feel great when you're working out, but if you're only getting 3 hours of sleep, how well are you actually able to move your body? And are you moving it in a safe manner? If you're not fueling
Yes.
it properly, is it actually going to feel good to exercise if you don't have, that protein, the healthy fats, and the carbohydrates to really nourish you through a workout? So it's really all connected. And those are really, the main pillars. And mindset as well. And mindfulness are kind of the key five, I would say, that really are all interconnected if you look at it from a personal perspective.
Yeah.
And then when you start to broaden it, then you include your relationships and your finances and your spirituality and all of the other pieces as well. But if you look at like really what you can control and what's within your realm to change and to make updates, and it's your nutrition, your fitness, your sleep, your mindset, and your stress management.
Yeah, I think those are surely the core things. Like when you change that, like when you change mindset, it will also affect most of your relationship for better or for worse, right? Like,
yes.
I mean, because you will become a different person, you'll change. So your relationships will shape with you.
Exactly.
And it's interesting that you said, right? Like it goes further and further out, right? Like after you go like, okay, my own five like health pillars, and then like relationships, spirituality, kind of like the broader net. And then it goes even further, right? Like our health as society, especially now with COVID and everything, like then you could go even to bigger discourses. That's probably not part of this podcast, but we'll see where we'll go. But like health funding, right? Like budgets are getting allocated to prevention, like how entirely fucked up our medical system is anyways in terms of prevention or treating symptoms and diseases instead of, but I don't know.
No, I totally get it. And yeah.
Go into a rage against the system, which is fine. There's always room for that. But like, I'm curious, going back to your own journey. So looking at like those different types of elements of health, well-being cluster, if you will. What did your coach help you realize what was missing in your cluster?
Yeah, I think for me, honestly, it was, yes, the support around, behavior change and setting up goals and, mini goals that build into larger goals, like all of that, which is always done with a health coach, was very important. But for me, I think what kind of turned it on was noticing that this is an area that I'm okay spending hours learning about and researching and wanting to see how my passion for this can then intertwine with a work life versus just having it be something that I'm doing for myself, and seeing how when I was able to make little changes, how that then also helped my husband make changes, and how that also helped my mom make changes, and my dad and my stepmom, and starting to see that little trickle effect. I was like, wow, I can really change lives here. Not only my life, but if I am better and if I can start to learn how to be this coach and share this type of information, then it can really help people who haven't had the same opportunity to learn about nutrition or to learn about moving their body or to learn about little things that can help them with their sleep, and those things make changes in day-to-day lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And like sometimes they feel, I mean, I noticed from my own like well-being health training, they feel so small, and you tend to like to kind of like set the equation of, oh, small means insignificant, but it's actually, I mean, it couldn't be more the opposite. Really. So like, can I say that you also really narrowed down on stress and how to manage stress as one of the key pillars of well-being and health?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say for me, where I've kind of gotten down to, if we talk about like, if you had to say in 1 or 2 sentences, like,
Yeah.
what do you do? I
Oh,
really
the
like to
elevator
say,
pitch.
yes,
Yeah.
well, I
Yes.
didn't
Give
want to
it to
say
me.
elevator pitch, but the elevator pitch, for lack of a better term, is, I really provide health coaching services as a change agent for female
Ooh.
entrepreneurs and corporate professionals by helping them
Mm-hmm.
find their energy and clarity around what nutrition and lifestyle habits work for their body instead of against it. And so I think that's the key, is really finding their energy, which stress and burnout is just an energy zapper. That's exactly kind of what it does for you. It just pulls you down.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything else, you start to lose your motivation, start to lose your productivity. And so that's really the key, is helping people find their energy, and then also finding clarity around what's going to work for their bodies, because in the end, we're all individuals, and what's going to work
there's
for
no
you, Jennifer,
blueprint.
right?
Yeah.
Isn't
As in
going to work for
business,
the
there,
person
as
next to you.
in health, in well-being, there's no blueprint.
Right. And if people say there are, then they're probably lying to you. Or not probably, they are lying to you. It's worked for 1 or 2 people, and they're saying, oh, this works for everyone.
Yeah. Or it's such generalized advice that, yes, like, drink more water. Yeah, fair enough. Right. Like,
yes,
but
right.
I mean, yeah, most of us could do with more water. And until, probably none of us drink so much water that they actually are in danger of dying because they're drinking too much water. But
right.
Yeah. But which again is mostly also not very helpful. That's fine.
Right. Because then you get the follow-up question, well, how much water? And that's when it becomes the individual conversation of, well,
how much
what environment
water
do you live
though?
in? Yeah.
How much water though? I'm curious. What's the formula to kind of like look at it to how much water though?
So, well, it is individualized, but there's an easy way to tell if you're dehydrated or not. And the easiest way to tell is look at your pee. And is it super yellow, like hay, brown? Then you're dehydrated. If it's pale or a very light yellow, then you're on the right track. I always like to tell my clients to really start with half their body weight in ounces. So if you have someone who's, and I'm going to say pounds, so to
I have no idea what does I probably will Google it then, and like I have no idea what do you do with pounds and ounces. I'm like, that's crazy talk. We're on the metric system here. No, it's fine. So, I have so many listeners who will absolutely know what an ounce is, so you rock. It's fine.
Okay. So if you're like 140 pounds, starting off with about 70 ounces of water, and then doing the pee check and see, how does that look on a day-to-day basis? And then you shift from there. If it's like completely clear, then you're definitely having enough water and you maybe don't even need that much. But if it's, if you're drinking that, half of your body weight in ounces at 70 ounces and it's still almost like a brown yellow, then you're not drinking enough.
You just need more water.
So I always like to go back to kind of the pee test, because it is even going to change day to day. If it's super humid outside,
if you're sweating,
a dry environment, or exactly, it's going to change day to day. So pee test.
I mean, that's simple enough. Like, I'm always up for, like, that's where like kind of like my data analysis thing comes in, kind of like looking where you're at, right? Like, I assume it's very similar when new clients come to me and when new clients come to see you. Like, some of them know where they want to go, right? Like for me, that is like, I don't know, they want to have more high ticket clients, so they want to earn more revenue or make it scaling more easy. And you would probably like, oh, I just want to feel better, or I don't know, I want to lose weight. That's or a big one. It's probably the classic. And most of the like, but it's always kind of like, it's fine. You need to know where you want to go, or like or direction at least. But often, like, you also need to know where you're starting from. Right? Like, I mean, and you're people who come to see you for weight, they probably know how much they weigh, but right, like actually really knowing, okay, what are your movements like? What are your plate divisions look like? Whatever, I don't know, right? Like really going down into what is the is, and then like tell me, like, especially with weight or with achieving any kind of goal, right? Like we're always, it's kind of like the January 1st effect on gym memberships, right? Like we're like, yeah, super excited. Woohoo, we got a coach. We're working on our wellness now. And then, I don't know, week 2, you're like, oh yeah, I should drink more water. Okay. And by week 3, you're kind of like, well, the water, I don't know, the water jug is too far away now. Or something, I don't know. And it's kind of like losing.
The wanes.
Yeah. What is your like one hook to be like, hey, you know, like let's focus back on what you want out of this? Or
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you do notice that for sure, as even when clients do come to me, you notice that their motivation starts to wane when they get into, it's usually around session 3, 4, 5, kind of right in the middle. And really what we have to keep going back to is connecting it to your why. Why did you start this process? Not only what is your goal, but truly what is your purpose behind the goal. And typically, even if it is a weight loss goal, there's something more behind that.
Oh God, yes. I mean, ultimately, the number you want to lose, it's arbitrary number, right? Like, they probably say, I don't know, 5 pounds, 10 pounds. And like, it's right. Like, it's more probably about, and that's the same with when people come to me and say like, oh, I want to have like 200K revenue a year. I want to have like, well, what will you tell yourself to be true about yourself if you reach that?
Yeah.
That's always kind of like where it gets interesting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's that piece. And then from a health perspective, you're also typically, once you start to kind of pull away the layers of the onion, for the lack of a better
it's a good metaphor. The onion always works.
Is, you know, it's there's always something deeper behind it. Like, oh, my grandma died when she was 50 and I didn't get to spend time with her, and I want to make sure I'm around for my grandchildren. Or my daughter is just starting soccer and I want to be able to run around and play with her in the yard, and right now with the weight I'm at, I can't do that. I don't have the energy to do that. So there's definitely typically something that takes a little bit deeper as to, okay, yes, you want to lose weight, but what is that connected to more deeply? And it's, you know, family, or being around longer, or seeing a loved one suffer, or, you know, there's usually something more behind it. And by being able to tap into that why, when you start to be like, you know what, I really don't want to prep my food this week, but, you know, why are you prepping your food? Oh, I'm prepping my food so I can eat nutrient dense food. Why am I trying to eat nutrient dense food? Oh, because I want to make sure I'm around for as long as I can be for my daughter, for my granddaughter, for my son, for my, you know, grandson, whatever their why is. And then they can walk that walk and be like, okay, yes. Then the motivation picks up again. Okay, I know why I want to get there. Perfect. I'm going to take the 30 minutes it takes to prep this meal, or the 20 minutes to go for a walk and get my movement in this week, or get my movement in today. So really helping kind of tap into motivation. And you know what? Even if you don't have motivation, sometimes it turns into discipline. And you know what? Even if you don't truly want to do it, tapping into your why can be like, all right, you know what? I'm going to do this, even though I don't want to get up off the couch. I'm going to do it anyway, because this is why. So really helping them tap back in.
Yeah. And ultimately, like, discipline, like, I always feel it just only works so much, right? It can help you bridge until whatever you're doing becomes kind of like habitualized.
Yeah.
Right. And you don't even think about it anymore. You're just became the person who's prepping food. You just became the person who takes a walk before, after dinner, or whatever it is, right? Like you got to find something that kind of bridges that crucial part of time before you're feeling like you're the person who.
Yeah, tapping into atomic habits and kind of
Yeah, I
how
love
you're
it. Yeah, that's
it starts to become a part of who you are at a
yes,
certain point. And how
yes,
do you
right.
get
But
to that point? Yes.
yeah,
And that's where coaches fit in. They help you get to that point.
exactly. And as you said, like also coaches have coaches. I mean, I also have coaches. Like
Right.
you don't see what you don't see. Sometimes where you're way too deep in it, you're like,
Yes,
yeah, you have
blinders.
tunnel
Yeah.
focus, and you're like, wait, what? I have no idea what's going on left and right. So, what were the biggest stressful moments in setting up your own business? And I love that you said that you're still in corporate part-time and you're doing your business part-time. I think this is absolutely fucking amazing. And there's so much, I don't know, I feel in the online business world, there's so much backlash against that. Whereas actually, well, fuck everyone who says that's, I don't know, not a real business or whatever. Like, I don't give a shit what is real or not. Like,
I have a tax ID, so I'm real.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, whatever you want to do, that's actually why we started our business. You have the liberty to do whatever. I mean, it gives you certain liberties just to try different things and tell different things and experience different things without like, oh shit, without the stress of like, oh shit, how do I pay my bills?
Exactly.
Did
And
you
that is
always
exactly
like,
the point.
yeah, did you always had the plan of like starting it out as a side business, or did you had a period where you were in your business full time and you're like, ooh, this is not good for me right now? Or how did that happen?
Yeah, no, it's always been part-time. I kind of right out of college went into kind of my corporate role. I've made a couple switches within my current company, but still in my corporate role, and I've been able to find places of flexibility in my corporate role, which have allowed me to have the time and space to also do my own business on the side. And I am lucky to have a boss who is, very supportive. She actually is one of my clients.
That is
So
so cool.
knows that I do it for
like, I mean, obviously transparency is key, right? Like you don't want to like be sneaking around doing things,
right?
Like
Exactly. And so for me, some of the, the biggest stressors when building a business, whether it's part-time or full-time, is going to be the same thing. It's, where are you going to get your future clients? How are you going to support the clients you have? Right. What do I charge? Am I charging too much? Am I charging not enough? The clarity calls that I have, why were some successful and some not successful? And kind of some of the retrospective, the constant retrospective that you have to be doing to be able to be a successful business, and finding the time to do that when it's not like the glamorous part of owning a business.
The glamorous part's boring. It's always the same, you see people on their private jets and you're like, oh, that's cool, but like, I don't know, I don't think that's I don't know. That's not the story I want to hear. That's not like, I don't know. The glossy stories are never all that. I want to hear like the murky stories, the messy stories. That's usually the good story. Those are the stories you tell to your grandchildren, right? Like the times, I don't know,
where something went wrong, but it was okay anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Or like that time I fucked up badly, but hey, I learned something. I don't know. All the ones that are like really real. And I don't know. I always have kind of like two coins of it. So, like today, like what are your current stressors in your business that you're like working on?
Yeah, for me, I'm really taking a little bit of a shift in strategy and looking at where I want to be versus where I am at right now.
Nice.
I had a few months earlier this year, actually, about 5 or 6 months, where I was getting requests for a lot of workshops, and for different corporations, different size companies, kind of going in, teaching them about either stress. I have a Be the CEO of Your Stress workshop, or nutrition basics workshop, or I teach yoga classes and fitness classes as well. And there was a stretch of time where I was doing a lot of those in a month, 3, 4, 5
Ooh, that's draining.
in a month.
I assume.
And it is. But what I noticed is I actually really enjoy that setting, and really enjoy getting to do this type of facilitation and have it be an engaging experience where I can get 400 people at one time instead of, one person. And not to say one-on-one clients are not the way that I don't want to not do that anymore, but it was just it was a big eye-opening experience.
It's a different energy thing, right? It
is.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. It's a different energy thing, and it's neither good or bad. It's just, I don't know, if you feel curious to be like, hey, actually, I want to have more of that, go for it.
Yeah. And I think that's exactly it. And figuring out the balance between, okay, how do I get more of these types of clients, being workshop types of clients, while still supporting, a select few one-on-one clients, and, figuring out exactly kind of what that balance looks like, and how to actually, go to market, for lack of a better term. I want to have, 5 one-on-one clients in the next 6 months,
on rotation.
Also on rotation, exactly, while also being able to do 4 corporate sessions a month, and kind of figuring out, because those are not the same clients. You're not going to ask these clients about this.
No, they're not.
Same thing about this.
I hear you. I also have entrepreneurs I work with, small business owners, and I work for mid-sized corporations. I ditched the large global corporations because that's a nightmare to work with, branding wise. But yeah, I get it. Not totally different target audience.
Yes. So having that duality, and also shifting kind of the focus into that duality, I think has been the biggest shift that I've been making, and also caused the most stress. And I'm lucky I have, my little stress toolbox. So I have the things that I can tap into to help me with that stress. And a lot of that I would also kind of utilize with my clients as well. But yeah, I would say that's definitely been the biggest stressor.
So can we say then change and the unknown as stressors?
Oh yeah. Always.
Whether
in business or outside of business.
Duh. I mean, I probably everyone is nodding right now.
Nodding,
change,
exactly.
huge stressor. Our brains don't biologically don't change danger, right?
Right.
So
exactly. Our bodies want to stay comfortable. And that's, that's a reason it's so hard to lose weight, because your body is comfortable at the spot that it's in. And to lose weight means you have to make a change, means your body has to change. So it's the same thing. Our bodies physiologically go through the same thing, whether you're moving to a new house, or, trying to do something new in your business, or trying to lose an extra 5 pounds. The brain kind of sees those things in a similar manner.
The conscious mind is very categories. Linear. Woohoo! Love it.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
So I love that. That's kind of okay, we have kind of the stressors, the more nebulous stressors of change and the unknown. What do you take out of your toolbox to be I'm the CEO now of my change stress, or my unknown stress of the unknown? What do you take out of it?
I love that you're tapping into my tagline, be the CEO of your stress.
Yes. Of course. That's how I roll. I'm a branding specialist. That's how I roll. God damn it.
So how am I the CEO of my own stress? And, I will say I'm going to be, authentic and obvious, or honest. I'm not 100% perfect at it. There's definitely moments
we never
where
are.
I am
life, right?
where I'm like, okay, I know I should be doing this, but like, I don't want to. I want to sit on the couch and watch XYZ.
Yeah.
And like, sometimes I do that. Um,
Yeah, but
but
that's like, that's not the thing, right? Like, if it's, I think it's two things, right? If you should always, regardless in what you do, have the choice to say, no, not today, Satan, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I don't know, if you're always doing what you should do, you start, I don't know, at least me, I became resentful because I was just doing all
Mm,
those things that are not pleasures and not fun, are not joyful. And I'm
mhm.
like, ugh, and I become this resentful, mean little bitch. And I'm like, nobody wants to be around that person. Like, no. So we
Exactly.
gotta
Which is why you
give
have to
yourself
use the
slack.
stress care. Yeah. The
Yes.
self-care
Yeah.
and your stress toolbox, which is,
Yeah.
for me, the big things that I like to tap into that most people, I won't say everyone, but most people can tap into is going to be your breath. And yes, we all
Oh,
breathe. You do that on a regular basis. And I say not everyone because there is a subsection of the population that doesn't necessarily get to control how they breathe. So I'm
yes,
talking,
agreed. My mom's
how to
part of that
control
group.
your breath.
I
Yes.
love you very much for saying that. Yes, that is true.
But being able to tap into something that you can, again, I'm going to say always, but not everyone
Yes.
can control in your breath is a way of telling your brain that it's okay and I'm safe, and starting to tap into the parasympathetic nervous system, which is going to be that rest and digest part. And so when we have a stressor, you automatically, lots of things start to happen physiologically, but basically, your brain gets
you
a
have
little ping.
a flight or freeze. I don't know, it's
Fight or flight.
Yeah, fight or flight.
Well,
or
fight,
free.
flight, or freeze.
Exactly.
Yes,
They're
exactly.
3 trauma responses, right? Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. So you get that little hormone, you get a hormone that response in your brain and kind of tells your body, something is happening and I need to be prepared to fight, flight, or freeze.
Yeah.
And, nowadays that can be something as simple as an email or a text message that you're getting, and not actually a life-threatening situation. But how we can use our breath to tap into our rest and digest nervous system is taking even just 1 or 2 minutes to just follow your breath and slow your breath down. And what that can look like is just breathing in through your nose for a simple count of 4, holding your breath for a slow count of 7, and then exhaling out of your nose slowly for a count of 8. So it's called 4-7-8 breath, but it's inhale 4, hold 7, and then exhale 8. And by breathing out of your nose, it helps you slow the process down even more. Sometimes if you breathe out of your mouth, it's and that's like, not
what you know from yoga as well. Like you go like a yeah,
right, which is good to like let it out and
It's
release.
a different, you're trying to do different things, right? Like
exactly. So by going out of your nose, you're able to slow it down even more, and then that's giving your brain the time to connect and say, nope, I'm okay, this is okay. And you can do that even just a couple times, or once, and
well, if you
that's
only have the time for do it once, and
right,
once is better than none.
exactly. And it just helps slow you down too, and helps you take another take a second and another perspective of, oh, you know what, this thing that's stressing me out right now, like, yes, it's still stressing me out, but is it something that is, life-changing, life-threatening? Is it something that I'm still even going to be thinking about 3 months from now? If the answer is no, it just gives you a little bit more perspective of, it's okay. I can handle it. And so I like to use the breath for those kind of 2 reasons, to help you tap into the rest and digest part of your nervous system. And then also it gives you an opportunity to reflect a little bit and be like, okay,
yeah, everything
like,
that
either
brings you to
I
a
got
pause,
this, or right, exactly.
Yeah, and I don't know, it feels so applicable, right? Like you could do that every time you it stresses you out so much that you have to do this email, or that you actually have to send this email, or I don't know how many. I mean, I think we all know this. We get an email. I mean, that was 90% of my corporate emails back in the day. You get an email and you're like, oh, I could like crush this person to death. And
Yes.
you're like, no, 5, 7, 8. Then you still want to crush this person to death, but you're gonna write a very eloquent email. Telling them very
Exactly.
politely to go fuck yourself.
Right. Well, and that's exactly it. It also,
Yeah.
you know, in the email example, it gives you a moment to be like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe I don't want to send this off really quick and be like, see
Yeah.
email below for your response.
See my email from like 14 working days back. That. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So kind of two little things that, again, most people can tap into and
I
add
love
into
that.
their toolbox for sure. And
what else
there's
is in the
lots of
Alexa
other
toolbox?
things. Yeah. You know, stress is such a if you want to look at stress as kind of an encompassing circle within stress, you have so many different pieces that can either cause stress or reduce stress. So that's why when I work with my clients, I look at it as a holistic health perspective, because your nutrition, for example, can either add more stress or remove stress. So you can add inflammation into your body if you're eating tons of trans fats or inflammatory oils or processed foods. Like all of those things are going to add inflammation to your body, which is adding stress to your body. Whereas, you know, same thing with fitness. You can add more stress to your body by doing certain things in your fitness routine, like high intensity interval training. It is great for short bursts, but if you do it too much, you're adding more stress to your body and not
that's
giving
actually
it the time to
it's so interesting that you're saying that, because that's actually what happened, what's kind of like my current situation, right? Like I, like health wise, I deal, that's all very new. I deal with celiac disease, which is an inflammatory disease. I deal with endometriosis and adenomyosis, which are both also inflammatory diseases. So then also working out, I was doing Tabata and interval training, which is brilliant, but it was adding way too much stress on my already super highly inflamed body. So my body was like, nope. Not dealing with this now.
Absolutely.
I'm curious, like when you said like there's so many things of like what stress like brings stress, reduces stress, and so on. Maybe we should have started with that. How do you define stress?
Yeah, that is also a really great question, because I think you have to look at what we consider stress is really a cycle. And the cycle of stress starts off with a stressor. So something that's moment in time
bringing
trigger.
your nervous system into fight, flight, freeze.
Exactly. And then after the stressor or the trigger, then you have your actual physiological response. So that's what a lot of people consider stress, is the physiological response that your body has. And so that is when your palms start to sweat, when your heart rate starts to rise, when, you know, some of those
I also always feel in my
responses.
gut or like in my lower abdomen,
the butterflies, like, or
or
tightness.
Like tightness. I do it's tightness for me.
And what that is that's the blood moving from the center part of your body to the extremities, because it's ready to run. That's exactly what that response is from.
Connection. That makes so much sense though.
Exactly. And then the part that we have an issue with as a society is the rest and reset part of the stress cycle. So we ping from stressor to physiological response, stressor, physiological response, stressor, back and forth.
Yeah.
But what we're missing is that rest and reset.
Yeah, we're not doing the full circle. We're just doing like half the circle and be like, oh, okay, cool. But actually, and then until we're going so fast that we kind of like collapse.
Right. Until you get to, you know, your chronic stress level, which can lead to burnout and overwhelm and sickness and all of that. Because again, the physiological response that your body is doing is meant to keep you safe. But what it's not doing is it's not looking for long-term diseases. It's not, supporting your immune system as much because it's constantly sending your blood to your extremities. So when you say, when we look at stress as a whole, that's exactly what we're talking about, is kind of that whole 3-part cycle.
Yeah, that's so true, right? And like it's a spiral, right? It goes that back and forth. It's faster and faster and faster and faster and faster until you're like,
until you get sick or until you are exhausted. And that's where a lot of people sit, is in that chronic stress stage of exhaustion, or they get sick because their immune system is shot.
How do you get out and retrain your being into doing the full circle?
Yeah. So that's where you have to start to look at, what does self-care mean to you, and how can you incorporate that self-care, and how can you begin to incorporate boundaries so you don't get to that same place again, and boundaries with yourself, boundaries with your employees, boundaries even with your family, and setting those boundaries and holding yourself and others accountable.
Yeah. And I hear now everyone listening with kids is like, self-care is the time I have when I sit on the loo for longer than I should, because that's the only time I actually have to myself.
Yes.
Hashtag mom life. And
yes.
And it's kind of like, as you said, right, at the beginning, if what you have is one breath, and just at least make sure you got that one breath, right? Like what's in the self-care toolbox that, I don't know, even if you all you got is like, I don't know, 5 minutes. And let's be honest, I mean, I have a 3-year-old sitting on my knee right now.
Yeah.
Everyone has 5 minutes if you're really honest with yourself. What is in the toolbox that I can do for 5 minutes? That will help me.
Absolutely. And I think you hit on a good point kind of before that. It's also, what do you prioritize versus, instead of saying, I don't have time to, how does it feel to say, I don't make time to, or it's not important for me to?
Yes, your words are so important. I agree.
And not to say that, moms or others aren't, they don't have time, because time is still a commodity. But it's still, how do you spend your time? Do you spend 10 minutes a day on Facebook or Instagram or on some type of social media? Yeah. Okay. Then you can use that 10 minutes for, if getting a walk is important to you, then you can use that 10 minutes to go for a walk, or even for a family walk, or whatever it might be. So really, what's in my self-care toolbox, for me, it's doing things that I enjoy to do, doing things that when I get to spend time with my husband, even if it is just sitting on the couch and watching a show, watching a show with him and having a conversation with him about it and being engaged with him during that. I always go back to the age-old, taking a bath. Taking a bath is very pleasant as well.
I love the bath.
And again, for me, we talked about this earlier, but movement is always something that makes me feel physically better and mentally better.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be movement like as exercise, movement to lose weight, whatever, right? It can be very gentle movement.
Oh, yeah.
I suppose, right? Like, as long as you're, I don't know, just
something that's
blood
like
circulating.
Exactly. Blood circulating, and something that's removing you from like sitting on your computer and typing. It can be, get up and doing 10 quick jumping jacks, or it can be vacuuming. Like, that is also movement. Doing cleaning.
High speed.
Like
high speed vacuuming. Now that's like a fitness trend I haven't heard. So maybe that's
doing a little dance while you vacuum. Like listening like to
Zumba,
some music.
Like
yes.
Just with a Zumba. There you go. Like, that's the next $1 million idea, I tell you. You heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first.
Exactly. So many opportunities.
And all deeply personal, right? Again, it goes back to knowing what what helps you and what is serving you and what isn't.
Exactly. Like, is
I love
music
that.
something that you love? It doesn't have to
Ooh,
be
yeah.
movement. You can pop in one ear and you still have one ear open in case a little one's around, and you can still hear what they're doing, but you can also listen to, you know, 2 or 3 of your
Yes.
favorite songs
Yes.
and kind of boost your mood in that way.
AirPods were the first thing I bought as a new mom, and it's still the best thing I ever bought. So tell me, Alexa, if people are not like, oh, okay, I want to have like this more personalized to me and I want to hang out with Alexa, where can people find you online?
Yes, I am, of course, on all of the social media platforms. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, right, and TikTok, and now YouTube, because
Oh, you're also TikTok? Oh, I also have to follow you on TikTok because I'm newish.
Oh,
on
I'm
TikTok,
brand new
and
on
I
TikTok.
really started liking it. Yeah, me too. But I really started liking TikTok, I must say. I always thought I'm too old for this shit, but I quite like it.
I was gonna say I'm brand new to it, but on all those platforms, I'm at Alexa, Alexa Hanshaw. Hanshaw. Very easy, kind of tried to be consistent across. I also have a website which talks about all of the services and everything that I offer. Same thing, www.alexahanshaw.com. You can sign up for my email list if you'd like, which you can find me on Instagram and Facebook on my email list that way. And, you know, just really would love to support anyone out there that's looking to make a change in their health. And again, as a health coach, you know, I really help focus on behavioral change and building those small habits to kind of compound to larger, greater habit
anyone
change.
who wants to bring atomic habits into their well-being and healthness routine, like,
I got
your
you.
people.
Yes, bring it on. Bring it on.
Awesome.
Exactly.
Hey, I always have one last question because I'm curious and I always need new material. What book are you currently reading?
Oh, that is a good question. I'm reading, well, I guess I have two different routes that I'm reading. One, I'm reading, it's called The Skin Edit, I think is the name of it.
Oh, this is a goodie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm reading that one, and then I'm also reading one for health coaching called Motivational Interviewing. So kind of reading both of them at the same time.
Perfect. We'll link them in the show notes. One day we start a Scenic Route book club.
Motivational interviewing might not be for everyone unless you're looking to be a health coach. If you are, hit me up. I got you.
If you're like if you're listening and you might think of starting your business in health coaching, then this is the book to go. You never know. Maybe someone is really inspired today.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And if not, that's cool too. You do whatever rocks your boat. Hey, Alexa, thank you so much for talking to me on the Scenic Route podcast. It was absolutely brilliant.
Jennifer, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I'm so excited. And, you know, if your listeners have any questions at all, they can always reach out. Very responsive on DM as well as via email, and look forward to, you know, maybe being either back on the podcast or seeing some of your listeners hop over onto my platforms.
Yay, that's so generous. Thank you so much, Alexa. Bye then.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to the Scenic Route podcast. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode and that you can take something from it that feels right to you. I'd be so grateful if you could share the Scenic Route podcast. As always, you can head over to scenicroutepodcast.com to check out all the links and resources from today's episode. Oh, and while you're there, don't forget to download my free email course, Intuitive Branding Invitation, to teach you how you can successfully tune into your own brand frequency and rediscover your brand's unique gifts, strengths, and talents. So thanks again. Talk soon.